And this morning we're here with the deciders, the heads of many of the agencies and programs on the island, and so it'll be their chance to talk about what's coming up in the future. We have with us Simon Sanchez, Chairman of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. We have John Beneventi, General Manager, Consolidated Utility Service. We have Lawrence Perez, Director of the Department of Public Works. And we have Colonel John Jackson, who's head of the Joint Program Office, Forward Base. And we have Frederick LaCroix, Chief Executive Officer of the Power Source Group, LLC. What we would really like to explore this morning, and it'll be free form for those of you maybe that weren't here yesterday, we'll have a few minutes for each of you to talk about your own particular area. And what I'd like to explore, based on the theme of utility and infrastructure requirements, is what are the challenges and how to deal with them with or without the buildup. Simon.
Most of you have probably heard me speak before, and I actually prepared something this morning that I actually won't mention a megawatt or a stipulated order once. So let me just throw this out, because I was so impressed with the coverage in today's paper from yesterday's forum and the dialogues and the discussions that occurred. So I put something together, and let me just go through it real quickly. It said it's infrastructure and sustainable development. Things that make you go, You know, for the past 4 decades, Guam has averaged 10 to 15% population growth per decade. At this pace, Guam is going to have 240,000 to 270,000 more people by 2039, 30 years from now. 240,000 to 270,000 more people, even without the military buildup. If you just take Guam's historic growth, Guam's going to keep growing. The buildup is going to accelerate growth. It's not going to stop growth. Power and water parameters. We have enough power for the buildup. We can create enough energy for Guam's future growth, even at these levels we're talking about. The latest studies looking at UOG's WERI work that was done in the 80s and 90s and some updated work, when you look at our aquifer that provides 70% of the water on Guam, we can support 500,000 people at 75% of the yield of the aquifer. Now, we only have 180,000 people now, but if we use that aquifer and we manage it right, at 75% of its yield, which gives you a little reserve, Guam could have 500,000 people living here. And some people think you can support even more people on Guam. So how many people is too many people? And I think some of this discussion started yesterday and can continue today. Well, one issue that's been discussed on Guam for many, many years, political status, our relationship with the United States. And one question that's always come to my mind is, can you control population growth and migration, or immigration, being part of the United States? I mean, we've just witnessed what the CNMI has gone through. They thought they were a commonwealth. They thought they could control it. Now they've lost it. Would you be willing to give up your blue passport for this power to control immigration, to be completely free from the United States? Would you be willing to limit the number of children as being done in some countries? To control how many, are you willing to limit access through borders and limit individual freedoms? Growth always brings good and bad. Guam has the highest standard of living amongst island communities in the Pacific. 75,000 Guamanians are at work right now. For most, the quality of life is generally good. Yet we still have income disparities, strained resources, crime, and societal challenges. Growth brings more people and challenges. Growth also brings more resources to address changes, more taxpayers and ratepayers to pay for and share in the burdens of growth. And unfortunately, population growth seems to be a constant in the evolution of planet Earth. Can we manage this inevitable growth better and more wisely than we have in the past in order to sustain a high standard of living and quality of life? Well, what have others said? The poor will always be with us. Jesus said that. I never promised you a rose garden. Well, I know it was a book, but I think Dolly Parton was the first time I had ever heard it. And on my walking t-shirt today, it said, no rain, no rainbows. And a popular one now, I don't mind taking care of the poor and the needy, ensuring full employment and full access to health care, as long as someone else pays for it. And that's most taxpayers. So in conclusion, every society and faith recognizes some form of good and evil, God and devil, yin and yang, black and white, good and bad karma. No matter what, in the future, Guam will face great opportunities and challenges, and we will still have problems to deal with down the road, whether we grow or not, faster or slower. The questions are always much easier than the answers. But we human beings are the ultimate source of solutions to the problems we create. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. John?
You can give the details.
Just kind of hard to follow that one. But yes, certainly, with or without the military growth, the utility has been working to at least increase the level of service for what our ratepayers need and deserve on this island. And certainly, as can be seen, even in the water utility, where there is a 20-year plan requiring over $900 million before to improve the water and wastewater system, that master plan came before remember, Governor, the 2006. By the way, we have 8,000 Marines coming. So we're very fortunate, like Simon says, that, and unfortunate in a way that in the late 80s, early 90s, we had to learn the hard way that we don't want to keep looking up at growth. We want to look down at growth. And that's when, in the mid-90s, we did get over the power curve and start looking down. And that's why we're fortunate today that we do have excess capacity to be able to serve the military despite 100 megawatts coming up, depending what the number is. But the challenge is not as great as what it could have been, as everyone can perceive. And certainly, where we are today is that the growth will actually enhance the reliability. It actually improve the reliability for everyone in the system by more and more partnerships occurring, more and more stability, more and more diversity. Water, wastewater, that's been a challenge for all of us through all the years, and certainly it has been a major part of our work today with working with the Commission. I can tell you that because I spend 90% of my time at GWA today versus GPA. But certainly it's come a long way. We're embarking on the next $300 million that's coming up to improve the infrastructure with or without the military growth. And certainly what we hope to gain by the military growth is really a partnership where we look at the total system and start looking at integration of the system, start looking at redundancy, meaning each of us, the military and ourselves, share what resources we have, because we do have a finite resource here in the island. Share those resources and be able to, people out there don't care whether the water came from the military or from GWA. It's just that they do get that service. So by working together, we're able to have a much higher standard of reliability, be able to serve people. And our goal is to run, this personal goal that we're trying to do today, is to get GWA to run during a storm. And we are, to give you an idea, we are getting close to that. So that will give you an idea of how good, how well the utility has progressed all this time. But certainly, no other promises. You heard the chairman say we will meet our needs. And certainly, we are embarking, using our campaign, to put this money into the infrastructure. And by doing that, the chairman mentioned about 75, the aquifer can provide for a much more bigger customer base than it is today. But we can't do that with all the leaks that we have. And certainly the leak detection program is entering its second year. The bond money that we're trying to be going after will start fixing that. And certainly that would help to, again, preserve and manage this aquifer and be able to provide all our needs. And as far as wastewater, a lot is not said about it, and actually being not said, everything is good. Because otherwise, oil, wastewater spills are not something pleasant with. So again, even that is being addressed. So with or without the military build-up, we certainly had a lot of challenges. With it, I think it is perceived that there's a lot more challenges, but certainly there's a lot more opportunities to be able to take care of both challenges in one time.